For some perspective on the busy week in politics, we turn to Bob Cusack, editor-in-chief of The Hill. Bob, good morning.
Good morning.
The president is right to be crowing about the GDP number, which is the best since 2014. To what degree, though, is that clouded by this whole sort of beginning of a trade war and the tariff issues that he's also set in motion?
The trade war, Republicans on Capitol Hill, they're very nervous. They're ecstatic about these new numbers. A lot of economists said you can never get to 4%. He's got to 4% at least for the quarter. Whether he can do it for the whole year remains to be seen. But this is something they're nervous. The impact of these trade wars could be felt in the fall. And of course, that's right before the midterms. We've got 100 days to go, effective today, to the election. So it's making them very nervous.
Well, the White House announced that $12 billion aid package to farmers as a result to kind of ease the concerns over the issues with the tariffs. How's that sort of like being felt out on Capitol Hill?
Well, it's never good when you're referring to something as a bailout, but this is a different type of bailout because it's a bailout from the trade war that Trump has started. So it's a different type of thing. Now, farmers like it at least because they've been so nervous, but where is it going? Is there going to be some type of truce with China? Is there going to be some type of negotiation? A lot of experts say, listen, the U.S. versus China, China can win the long game. So this is something that a lot of Republicans say maybe you should have waited until after the election to do because the House and Senate could flip.
Yeah, especially they're looking at some of those states, especially that obviously had so many of the Trump supporters. Michael Cohen, obviously, we heard a little bit about this in the piece, about this idea that he is now saying Trump knew in advance about this meeting at Trump Tower with the Russians. Trump has certainly denied this in the past. And now we're hearing these allegations that don't listen to Michael Cohen, that he's not telling the truth. It feels like such a reversal. We heard it 2 months ago. Rudy Giuliani is saying the exact opposite. But does this matter now to people, to the American people, this sort of reversal of course?
I think so. But the big question is Robert Mueller. Does it matter to Robert Mueller? Yeah. And remember, Michael Cohen still has tapes. So when Trump says or Giuliani says X or Y, or he's not telling the truth, well, does Michael Cohen have a tape that actually proves his case? So the fact that Michael Cohen and Trump are now bitter enemies is remarkable, and that is something that I think is a bad sign for the White House. They just don't know what's coming next.
What do you think Robert Mueller is making of these leaks, though, Bob? I mean, the special counsel has all the, as you mentioned, has the tapes. They took thousands of documents, but a lot of this stuff is leaking out. He can't be happy about that, can he?
No, and I really don't think it's coming from Mueller himself, but he's going to gather all the information and look at what Michael Cohen wants to say. I'm sure he's interested in any type of Cohen testimony. But remember, I don't think he can actually do anything between now and the election. That's what James Comey did. He was his hand was a bit forced, but that's what he was criticized for. So I think, in all likelihood, the Mueller investigation goes beyond the election.
Is there a fatigue factor, though, with the idea of the Russia investigation as people continue to hear about it?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to some independent voters, and they say they're kind of tired of the Russia thing. However, they're bad headlines for Trump. He wants to talk about the economy. He wants to talk about his Supreme Court nominee. But there is some Russia fatigue, and that's the question for Democrats. How much they talk about Russia post-Labor Day on the campaign trail?
The big question, I'm sure, is what will stick? And I think that's a big question for a lot of people on both sides of the aisle. Bob Cusack, thank you.
Thank you.